Amanda Gumbert, and I'm an extension specialist for water quality here with the UK Cooperative Extension Service. And also I work a lot with Tammy Barnes, and I just want to go ahead and give a shout out to Tammy because she does a lot of work with our farmers with conservation practices and manure management. And she just is a great asset to our system. And she also helped me put these slides together. So I want to go ahead and give her credit there. But we're going to talk about the Ag Water Quality Plan. And the Ag Water Quality Act is the piece of legislation that created the Ag Water Quality Plan in Kentucky. So this was developed and passed, it was passed into law in 1994. And it says that any farmer or landowner that has 10 acres or more involved in agriculture or forestry needs to develop an Ag Water Quality Plan. And that plan is also needed for applying for state or local cost share programs. So programs that would incentivize our producers and landowners to put in conservation practices by providing a financial assistance piece to that. So those two programs that many of you are probably familiar with is something we call state cost share, which the official name is Kentucky Soil Erosion and Water Quality Cost Share Program. And that is run through your local conservation district office. And then also we have our CAPE program, which is our County Ag Investment Program. And some of those practices are more production oriented, but some of them also can be dovetailed with conservation. And so those two programs do require that you have an updated ag water quality plan, but everybody by law needs to have a plan. And that plan is a list of best management practices, we say BMPs for short, that will be implemented on the farm to protect water quality. So it doesn't really matter what kind of operation you have, whether you have livestock or crops, or if you just have a woodlot, if you're a woodland owner and you're actively managing that woodland, if you have a farmstead, so meaning if you have building structures, a home on the farm, that's included as well. And the streams and other water section really deals with those stream corridors. And so sometimes we don't think of that as actually being a production area, but it certainly impacts our production. And so we want our plans to be up to date and reflect current farm activities. So if you were one of those you were an early adopter and you did your ag water quality plan, back in the 90s when we were first out of the gate, you probably need to revisit that plan because you've probably changed farming operations. So I want to give a few examples of what those BMPs though might look like. So one in forestry are streamside management zones. And so if you've done a harvest on your property, then you understand what those streamside management zones are. Essentially, it's just a stream buffer that's going to protect the soil and the landscape and protect water quality. So we're going to limit disturbance in the areas right adjacent to our streams. Another one in forestry is sinkhole protection, or if you have sinking streams or a cave system on your property. Kentucky has a lot of karst topography, and so this is a dominant feature in our landscape. And we need to plan accordingly, not only for our own safety and for the safety of our animals and our equipment, but also to protect water resources. Those are, those open sinkholes and sinking streams, those are direct conduits to our groundwater. And in Kentucky, our groundwater and our surface water are interacting constantly. It's really hard to distinguish between those two water systems. So I mentioned farmsteads earlier, and one of the practices that you can adopt in your ag water quality plan are also septic systems. Or septic system maintenance really is what we should call it. And that is essentially making sure that your septic system is working properly, that you inspect it on a regular basis, and also, conserve water and not push too much water through that system. Also included in these BMPs are livestock best management practices. So things like a planned grazing system, and that's just rotational grazing, and then not overgrazing pastures. Those are things that make really good sense for production and for herd health, but they also can protect water quality because you you avoid erosion and compaction issues, and just overall have a better, higher quality soil resources. One I really like, which is akin to, I guess, the streamside management zones, is in a livestock or a cropping system. We call this riparian area protection. And so this is a nice shot of a livestock pasture that has trees that have been left along the stream banks. And not only are those tree roots holding soil in place along the stream banks, but they're also providing shade to our streams, and that's going to help wildlife populations within our stream systems. So I want to just touch a little bit about how we develop ag water quality plans. The first point of contact for you and your local community is the Conservation District Office. So there are 121 Conservation District offices in Kentucky. Logan County actually has 2 districts, so they have North Logan and South Logan. And so we have those conservation districts each have some personnel who work in those offices. They really are our first point of contact for developing ag water quality plans. Our county extension agents have also been updated on water quality plans, but primarily we look to the conservation districts for assistance. And you can also develop your own plan. So if you don't want to go to another agency for help, you can do this on your own. The thing I want to remind everybody is to make sure that you or the landowner knows what is included in their water quality plan. So it doesn't do much good if I complete a plan for you. It's best for you to be involved in the development of that plan, so you know what practices are there and you know how you're going to implement the practices, or things that you might want to tweak, or things you might want to apply for financial assistance to install. So previously, we have had resources through the Extension Service. We created a producer workbook several years ago, and that was, it was electronic, but you could also print it and fill it out by hand. And I just want folks to know that we've gone through some updates recently, and those are no longer up to date. And so we want to make sure that folks, if you are updating your ag water quality plan, that you use the most up-to-date tools. Because we, and I say we because I serve on the committee, there's the Kentucky Ag Water Quality Authority reviews all of the best management practices on a regular basis. And so we're constantly looking at the practices and what makes sense and what needs to be adjusted, so that we're protecting water quality, but we're also supporting our farmers in their production systems. So the new ag water quality planning tool is now available as an e-form on the state website, the state of Kentucky, through the Energy and Environment Cabinet. And Renee, I think you have this link that's on the screen, and if you can drop that into the chat box for folks, that would be helpful. So this is the link to where you would go to find this form. And of course, it's just like anything else. You've got to set up a user account. And so this slide will tell you, first and foremost, the best way to use this website is using Google Chrome as your browser. We have, it seems like we're always going through an update to a browser, or which one works best with what platform. And so this platform does work best when we're using Google Chrome. So again, there's the website for it. And over in that yellow circle, you'll see a place where you can either sign in or register. And so some folks may have already been using e-forms on the state website. If you do other business with the state, or you have other permits that you submit or need to apply for certain things. And so you may already have an account, and it's that Kentucky Online Gateway profile would apply to all of the forms that you might submit. So some of our dairy producers or swine producers might have a liquid manure management system, and they might have a Kentucky no discharge permit, and they would have done an application through this gateway. And so they might already have an account. So once you get through there, you're going to look for, and I am skipping a lot of steps because I don't think anybody wants a step-by-step tutorial today of how to use this tool, but just know that you are looking for this Kentucky Ag Water Quality Planning tool, and it is through the Department of Natural Resources. They also, so this is the same department that's going to handle those state cost share applications. So your local conservation district office is also going to be a great resource for this. Again, if you go to apply for state cost share, they might ask you, hey, do you have an updated ag water quality plan? And a pro tip here is that if you're applying for state cost share for this year, between now and November of this year, of 2021, you will need to use this updated tool to develop your ag water quality plan because it must be up to date. And we have, like I said, we've made updates and changes. And so we want folks to be up to date and have a plan that protects them as well as water quality. So this is just a general, I'm not going to go, you probably can't even see all the details here, but just know that you put in, the normal information, the farm name and your FSA number and approximate acreage and address. And the other tool on this particular page too is that you can display a map, because the application asks you for latitude and longitude. And so you can use the mapping tool that's embedded within this tool, because it's like technology on top of technology, right? That's what we do best here. Well, not me, but those who built this program. So you can display the map, and then you can locate your farm using that map tool. You can also use Google Maps on your phone to find the coordinates, and you can put those in by hand. So this is just a way for you to find where your farm's located. So after you go through, it's the same kind of setup as what we used before, which is asking you questions about what you do on your farm. Do you have livestock? How do you handle the livestock? Which crops do you grow? Do you use cover crops? Those kinds of questions. And then as you answer those questions, you can select from the suggested best management practices that are related to that particular type of production. And then you say, oh, well, I think I've already done that practice. And so you've already implemented it. Or maybe you plan to once you get some cost share dollars to help you do that. And in some cases, you might say, I'm just not interested right now. And as long as you select several BMPs or best management practices, then it will accept it. You can't say, nope, not interested on any of them. That's the one thing you cannot do. So at the end of the day, as you work through the tool, you will be creating a 2-page ag water quality plan. So for some folks, this is much more succinct than what we'd had before. Some of those tools, especially if it's the printed version that you're doing by hand, you have to hand transfer those. But this tool will put it all together for you in a nice 2-page document that you can print. Now, question being, this is the one that our farmers always ask. Can we do this as a printable document? And do we have to do it online? So can we do it offline? And can we do it as a printable, I'm going to fill it out by hand? And yes, you can. And so this is the other link that I think Renee has available for us. This is a PDF form that is online, and you can click on that and you can print off this document, and it is 13 pages. So not too much, but it has to be enough for us to be able to get the information that we need so our farmers, landowners have a plan available for them. So, okay, so who needs an updated plan? Again, anyone whose plan is outdated. So if I say if you've got a plan that's more than 2 years old, go ahead and do an updated plan, because we've updated some best management practices. There might be a new one in there that fits your operation better. And so we want you to do that. If you're applying for state cost share this year and beyond, then you need to use this tool. If you're applying for CAPE this year, you don't necessarily need to use this tool and do an updated plan, but a plan is needed. So if you can't put your hands on the one you've got, just go in and do a new one. So I'm going to wrap this up just with reminding folks that there are some simple steps to protecting water quality on the farm. I know it can get cumbersome with this plan and that plan and all the steps we have to go through. But if you develop and implement a Kentucky Ag Water Quality Plan, and within that, a nutrient management plan, if you're applying fertilizer or manure, then you are doing the best job you can to protect water quality in Kentucky. And, our water resources are super important to us, not only for the health of our farms and our livestock, but also for our own personal health, our human health. Get a soil test. Again, if you're going to apply fertilizer, find out what you need because you might not need as much as you think. Install stream buffers. Like I said, those are my favorites. Put those trees and shrubs up against the stream banks and protect those. Handle your farm chemicals wisely. Don't use it if you don't need it, and only buy what you're going to use. And then finally, dispose of any dead animals properly. And these are, if you follow these steps, not only will you protect water quality, but you'll also protect yourself in terms of following the law that we need to abide by to take care of our natural resources. So reminding you too that we're here to help. I'm Amanda Gumbert again, and here's my email address, and I'm happy to help answer questions that you might have. But you can also visit your local conservation district office, and they again should be your first point of contact in your community. And then certainly look for supporting resources at your extension office. So with that, I will